Well, let's stay with this story because we're joined by Andrew Fieldhouse, who works for a Washington think tank, the Economic Policy Institute. Andrew, what do you make of this particular delay? It just goes to show how much John Boehner is struggling to get the Republicans together.
Absolutely. You have to remember this is an artificial crisis of epic proportions. Unfortunately, the real crisis in the United States labor market is going unaddressed. But there's no question Speaker Boehner at present does not have the votes, or we would have seen a vote this afternoon.
So do you think this is more of a political standoff rather than an argument over economics?
Oh, absolutely. There's no outcome to this debacle that is economically beneficial or fiscally responsible. This doesn't have to do with the long-term deficit. If this were about the deficit, you wouldn't have seen House Republican leadership walk away from compromise with the president 3 times over small increases in revenue.
So where do you think the blame lies, if I can say blame? Is it with the hardliners, the Tea Party set, or is it with the Republicans being just against President Obama? What do you think?
I think the far-right faction of the House of Representatives is really to blame for this. I think Speaker Boehner doesn't have the votes because of the furthest right wing, the Tea Party movement and the Republican Study Committee. I think Boehner, if he had a different caucus, would be happy to compromise with President Obama. You certainly have seen President Obama compromise well to the right. His offer to Boehner was to the right of the Gang of Six proposal that we saw coming out of the Senate. I think in the Senate you see Republicans much more willing to compromise. But walking away from a deal that cut $5 to $6 in spending for every dollar in revenue increase because there's that dollar of revenue increase doesn't make any sense. The Republicans aren't willing to compromise to anything.
Andrew, even if they get this vote through the House of Representatives and it is getting late there in Washington, the Senate won't pass it?
No, the Boehner proposal is a non-starter because it takes us back to the exact same place 6 months down the line, closer to a presidential election. There are rumors that the credit rating agencies will likely downgrade the U.S. credit rating if we don't move past 2012. This really isn't a solution. You're just moving the deadline for when the federal government is hijacked by this debt ceiling increase. A 6-month delay back to the same position doesn't get the federal government anywhere productive.
Okay, Andrew Fieldhouse from the Washington think tank, the Economic Policy Institute, thank you very much for your update. Right, it's 1 year since floods devastated Pakistan. Let's cross over now to Rico, who you have the story of how people are coping.